The United States military is about to give the famous B-52 bomber from the Cold War a new life. This upgrade will fit it with new, advanced engines, allowing the workhorse of the country's bomber force to keep flying for another 25 years. This will bring its total service time to nearly 100 years. These engine upgrades are a big deal and could hint at something even bigger. So stay tuned. The Boeing B-52 Stratofortress is an American long-range heavy bomber designed by Boeing in 1948. The aircraft had its first flight in 1952 and was officially delivered for military service 3 years later. Initially, the military planned to use it as an atomic bomb carrier, able to reach the Soviet Union. However, over time, the B-52 proved to be very flexible, handling many different missions. This adaptability is one of the key reasons why it has stayed in service for such a long time. The military developed 8 versions of this bomber, labeled A through H. Today, the H variant is the only one still flying in the United States Air Force, with 76 aircraft in operation. The B-52 has been an important part of many missions carried out by the US Air Force. One such mission was Desert Storm, where these bombers dropped 40% of all the weapons used by coalition forces. This shows why the B-52 has remained in service for decades, and why the Air Force continues to spend billions of dollars upgrading it. Under the wings of the B-52, you'll find 8 Pratt & Whitney TF-33P3 engines, each producing about 17,000 pounds of thrust. The B-52 is unique because it carries 2 engines in 4 pods under its wings. With these engines, the aircraft can reach speeds of up to Mach 0.86 and fly about 7,652 nautical miles. The TF-33P3 engine is a 2-spool axial flow turbofan engine with 2 fan stages, a 14-stage compressor section, split into 7 intermediate and 7 high-pressure stages, and a 4-stage turbine with 1 high-pressure and 3 low-pressure stages. Each engine is 11 feet 4.32 inches long, 4 feet 4.93 inches wide, and weighs around 3,900 pounds. The TF-33 engines are low-bypass turbofans, meaning they have a small fan at the front that sends some air around the engine core. Discussions about upgrading the B-52's engines began as early as 1997. At least 7 studies were conducted to compare whether it would be better to maintain the B-52 with the same engines or replace them. The results of these studies showed that upgrading the engines was a better choice over time. Advances in technology have led to newer engines that offer significant fuel savings. Additionally, newer engines provide much more thrust, meaning it could be possible to replace each pair of the B-52's engines with a single, larger turbofan with the same or even more power. Another issue that pushed the military toward replacing the TF-33 engines was the rising cost of repairs and maintenance, which was becoming increasingly expensive. Upgrading the engines would bring many benefits, including the ability to use shorter runways, carry more weight in hot conditions, fly longer distances, and improve fuel efficiency. It's estimated that re-engineering the B-52 could reduce fuel consumption by 15% to 20%, and possibly as much as 38% for missions that involve tanker fuel. This upgrade could also extend the bomber's unrefueled mission radius by about 45%. Confirming the need for new engines, Robert Gass, Boeing's Strategic Development and Investment Manager, stated that while the Pratt & Whitney TF-33 engine had served the B-52 well, it was nearing the end of its lifespan, making it necessary to act quickly to keep the B-52 in operation. After it was clear that the B-52 needed new engines, the Air Force opened up bidding for companies to submit their proposals. From the beginning, it was clear that this would be a competition between GE Aviation, Pratt & Whitney, and Rolls-Royce. Ultimately, Rolls-Royce of North America won the $2.6 billion contract to produce 608 jet engines to replace the aging TF-33 engines as part of the B-52 commercial engine replacement program. Speaking about this victory, Craig McVeigh, Rolls-Royce's Senior Vice President for Strategic Campaigns, said it was a significant win for the company. Rolls-Royce had been preparing for this opportunity and was ready to deliver the best engines for the Air Force. The new engine, known as the F-130, is part of the Rolls-Royce BR family of commercial engines. It has already been tested and proven in military use, having powered both the C-37 and the E-11 BACN. The F-130 engine produces around 15,000 pounds of thrust. Rolls-Royce has praised the engine for its 30% improvement in fuel efficiency, better range, enhanced performance in remote areas, increased reliability, and reduced reliance on tanker aircraft. The Air Force expects to receive the first two re-engined B-52H aircraft by the end of 2025, which will mark the beginning of a new phase of ground and flight testing. Along with the new engines, the B-52 will also receive several upgrades to its subsystems, ensuring it remains up to date for at least the next 25 years. These upgrades will include improvements in electrical power generation, new engine pod structures, pneumatics, digital engine controls, and modern cockpit displays. Rolls-Royce also mentioned that once the new F-130 engines are installed, they will likely remain on the aircraft for the rest of its operational life. This means the Air Force will save both time and money by avoiding the need to frequently remove and service the engines. Instead, all maintenance work will be done directly on the pylons, simplifying the process. Rolls-Royce has already conducted several tests on the F-130 engines, one of the most important being at NASA's Stennis Space Center in Mississippi. There, the engine was mounted on a special test stand that allowed a complete two-engine pod to be tested under different conditions. The engineers used a large wind fan to simulate crosswinds of up to 50 knots from various angles. They also used a platform on a scissor lift in front of the engine to replicate operations at different altitudes. Rolls-Royce has expressed satisfaction with the results of these tests, stating that the data matched their predictions, showing they are on the right track. However, the decision to re-engine the B-52 was not straightforward. Initially, there was talk of reducing the number of engines from 8 to 4. While having only 4 engines might have been possible, especially given the performance improvements over the years, it would have required significant modifications to the bomber. Reducing the number of engines would have meant redesigning the wings and potentially modifying the tail, which would have added to the costs. There were also discussions about why the Air Force didn't choose to install 2 GE-9X engines instead of 8 F-130 engines. Although the GE-9X engines are more powerful, more fuel-efficient and quieter, they are designed primarily for commercial aircraft, like the Boeing 777X. Adapting these engines for military use would have required extensive modifications to the B-52's design and systems. Lastly, one notable change for aviation enthusiasts is that the new F-130 engines will produce significantly less smoke. The B-52, long known for its dark, smoky trails, will no longer have this distinctive feature once the new engines are installed. The B-52 Stratofortress is set for a long future, thanks to these major engine upgrades. The aircraft, which has already flown for decades, will continue to serve as a crucial part of the US Air Force's missions for many years to come. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe for more fascinating updates on aviation and military technology. See you in the next one.